Welcome to the Cool Car Guys YouTube channel. I'm John Boyd, back again, aka the Cool Car Guy from coolcarguy.com. Today I'm bringing you another episode in my series 250 of the world's coolest cars, and today's feature, the Mazda MX-5 Miata, one of the most beloved sports cars of all time. Now, some of you might be wondering, why would the Miata make this list? Remember, this series isn't about ranking the top 250 coolest cars. It's all about, cars that made an impact and are just plain cool. And the Miata, well, it changed the game when it comes to really cool and affordable roadsters. It's a car that embodies driving fun in its purest form. In fact, I personally owned 3 of them over the years, and I can tell you they are an absolute blast to drive. The Miata formula, it's lightweight fun. The Miata has never been about big horsepower or straight line speed. It's about balance, handling, and that connected to the road feel that many people are missing out on today. When you get behind the wheel of a Miata on a winding road on a sunny day, with the top down, the wind in your hair, and the sound of the engine revving and the tires hugging the pavement, you'll feel like a kid in a go-kart track again. It's that pure, it's unfiltered driving joy that keeps people coming back to this vehicle again and again. In the vast world of automobiles, very few cars can offer this type of experience. The size, weight, and design of the Miata make it a one-of-a-kind driving machine. That's why it's such a cool little car. It's so much fun to drive. Mazda took inspiration from the classic British roadsters like the Lotus Elan and the MGs. And, they said, let's build something just as fun, but reliable. And that's exactly what they did. The first generation Miata NA debuted in 1989 and as a 1990 model in North America. And it was an instant hit. It's the NA model. Lightweight, 2,100 pounds, perfect 50-50 weight distribution, rear-wheel drive, short-throw manual transmission, sharp, precise driving with a double wishbone suspension that you usually only find in, higher-end vehicles. And of course, pop-up headlights, which everyone loves. They were super cool. People were like, wow, that's really slick. I thought it was really cool. I personally owned 2 first-gen Miatas. They were both red with black interior. One of them came from a professional soccer player who had converted it into a track car. And like a genius, I decided to use it as my daily driver. That thing was insane. It was like driving a go-kart on the streets. Every on-ramp felt like a racetrack. You'd be up next to a semi as you're driving down the road and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna punch it. Because you realize how small of a vehicle you are when you're passing a big semi and you could fit underneath the semi truck trailer as you're cruising down. I mean, it's just nuts. So, awesome vehicle. That was the first generation. The second generation, they started to evolve it into the legend that it's become. Fast forward to 1999, and Mazda introduced the second generation Miata, the NB. So they went from A to B. That's an easy way to remember it, A, B, C, D. Side note, if you find a 1998 Miata for sale in the US, just park it next to your 1983 Corvette, because neither of these officially exist here. It was more refined with some key updates. Well, the fixed headlights, the pop-ups that everybody thought were cool, they were gone. Glass rear window, though, finally, you could actually see out of it. Stiffer chassis, better handling and safety, and a sleeker, more modern design. One of the best improvements, though, was the convertible top. No more fiddling around or getting out of the car. You press 2 buttons, fold back the levers, and push it down, top down in seconds. It was brilliant. You could actually do it with your seatbelt fastened, which was really nice. This was also the generation that gave the only factory turbocharged Miata ever, the Mazdaspeed MX-5, from 2004 to 2005. And yeah, as you might expect, I owned one of those, and it was awesome. I mean, it just cranked up the zoom factor with 178 horsepower in that little rocket ship that it became. A big jump from the standard model. 6-speed manual transmission, limited slip differential, upgraded suspension, aggressive styling. And let me tell you, that thing was just a blast to drive. I mean, how could it not be? They just took it to the next level with the Mazdaspeed. And a side note, I also owned a Mazdaspeed 6, totally different car. and a different story altogether. But, I had a couple Mazdas in my life as the cool car guy. Let me give you a personal story, though, about the Miata in the snow, because that's not what this vehicle was designed for. One of my most memorable Miata experiences was back when I lived in Colorado. I had to drive from Castle Rock to Cortez in my NB, Miata. It was springtime, and I, being in my late 30s, I was still a bit reckless, didn't check the weather. We didn't have the maps on our phones like we do today. And now any sane person knows mountain driving plus spring equals possible snowstorm. But me, I had a Miata. I mean, what could go wrong? Well, halfway through Wolf Creek Pass down near Durango, it went from sunny to whiteout blizzard in a matter of minutes. It was crazy. And in that situation, all of your senses heighten exponentially really quick. And you're not going zoom, zoom, you're going slow, slow at that point, trying to keep the car on the road. Rear wheel drive, no snow tires, too much horsepower for the vehicle, for this type of conditions, zero traction. I was gripping that steering wheel for dear life, man, just trying not to slide off a 1,000-foot drop. Somehow I made it, but I'll tell you, the Miata is not made for mountain winter driving. It's made for summer driving in the mountains, but definitely not winter driving in the mountains. And it's awesome in the mountains, quite frankly, in the summer, because, you got all those winding roads and the thing just hugs the road. It's fantastic. Let's talk about 35 years of innovation, though, the evolution of the Miata. So I'm going to take you on a journey through 35 years of innovation, and we'll see how the Miata has evolved over the decades to remain a beloved icon among sports cars. That first generation owned two of those, like I said, the NA, 1989 to 1997, classic lightweight roadster, pop-up headlights, had a 1.6 liter and later a 1.8 liter engine. They moved on in 99, as I was just explaining to you, with the NB, the second generation. It was more refined. They did this from 1999 to 2005. Had fixed headlights, improved handling, had that Mazda Speed that came out, the MX-5 Turbo. Third generation, that was called the NC. If you're seeing a pattern here, as I mentioned earlier, ABC. 2006 to 2015, larger, more powerful 2-liter engine. First retractable hardtop. That was an option. More comfortable to drive, but still really fun. Sold quite a few of those over the years. And then we got into the fourth generation, the ND, 2016 to present. Back to lightweight roots, 2,300 pounds, 2.0 liter Sky Active engine, 181 horsepower. And it's still available in a manual transmission. That's 35 years of zoom zoom, and the Miata is still going strong. And what's really cool about Mazda is, if you go with that first generation, they still make parts for these vehicles, which a lot of manufacturers don't. So, kudos to Mazda for sticking with, the Miata and making it so that people can actually buy parts and keep these vehicles running, which you can't do with a lot of manufacturers. They just give up on these really cool cars. And that's one of the things that's just awesome and has kept the Miata going for so long. So what's the market value of these? How much do they cost? You want to try to own one of these vehicles? Because if you do, they're really cool. If you're thinking about buying an NA or NB Miata, I'll focus there. Because here's what you need to know. That first generation, 1990 to 97, the average price is around 12 to 13 grand. That's a great deal for a vehicle that has stood the test of time. I've seen them as cheap as $1,500. They're going to be beat up, and I've seen them as high as in the 40s. Special editions and low mileage models, they fetch top dollar. Then you go into the second generation from 99 to 2005, that NB. They're going to go up not too much more, about $13,000 to $15,000, just depending on the model, if they're in average and good condition. And again, I've seen them super cheap, $1,500 to $3,000, just depending on what kind of condition they are. But if you want that old Mazda Speed that I should have kept, that MX-5, those are the most valuable. Yeah, I guess I should have kept mine. Prices are rising on these vehicles, especially for well-preserved examples. If you ever wanted one, now's probably the time to buy. If you want to list your Miata for sale, head on over to coolcarguy.com. You know, if you've got one, you're thinking of buying one, you can list it on coolcarguy.com for $49.95 for the entire year. I doubt it'll take you a year to sell it. And if you're looking for one, you know, post a free wanted ad on there for 30 days. We've got a section called requests, and maybe you just want to post on there, hey, I'd like a Mazda Miata, and here's what I'd like to pay for it. Maybe somebody will respond that's watching this video and that's gone over to coolcarguy.com and they have one. Put you two together and you're going to, you know, create a match made in heaven. So that's pretty much it. In closing, that's why, you know, the Miata made the list of the 250 coolest cars in the world. It's lightweight, it's fun, still turning heads after 35 years. But what's next? Well, let's just say that we're shifting gears from a rear-wheel drive Roadster to an all-wheel drive turbocharged rally icon. And trust me, this is not your typical blue and gold Subi. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Cool Car Guy Show, which I'm going to be diving into the 2015 Subaru WRX STI limited edition, featuring a guest who knows these cars inside and out. You're going to love this episode. It's going to be really fun. If you've enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. For more awesome car content, check out coolcarguy.com. Check out the videos that I have on there and some of the articles that are featured at thecoolcarguy.com. Thanks for watching and stay cool.